Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spaghetti Western Podcast. This is season 3, episode 8, total number 73. We've got a show full of information for you today. We'll start off with our continuation of our history of the Spaghetti Western, which will feature Buffalo Bill in Rome. Whatever became of, we're going to talk about James Philbrook. Who are those guys? By request, Jose Manuel Martin. Film of the week is going to be Adiosabata. We'll cover the CD of the week, which is The Sign of the Coyote. And we'll have the book, autograph, and posters. And then we'll finish up with the weekly news. So let's get started. History of the Spaghetti Western. We're going to talk about Buffalo Bill in Rome. Italian title is Buffalo Bill a Roma. It's from 1949. Producer, director, and writer is Giuseppe Acatino. Stars Enzo Firmonti as Buffalo Bill. That should be a recognizable name. We'll get into him a little bit when we do the little bit biography on him. But he went on to make quite a few spaghetti westerns in the 60s. So familiar name. Also, Lolita is played by Diana Di Altina. And another name from the 60s was in spaghetti westerns is Hugo Sasso, who plays Red. The story on this one is based on a real incident. When Buffalo Bill's circus arrives in Rome, where Bill's sidekick Red falls in love with a local girl named Lolita, Bill is challenged to a race by Lolita's fiance between the American cowboys and the local Italian ranch hands. Bill readily accepts the challenge, but he and his men lose the race. And that actually happened. Little article here by Armando Rotondi, who wrote in detail about the film. In the history of the spaghetti western, it is interesting to note something. Originally, in the first example of this new genre, the story takes place in Italy and in the American Wild West, referring to an episode of the real tour of Buffalo Bill with a circus to the ball place, including cities like Genoa, Bologna, and Rome, where on March 8, 1890, he lost his famous challenge in horse taming to the Butteri, a sort of Italian cowboy coming from Agropontino, headed by Augusto Imperiali from Cisterna, now Cisterna di Latina, a city near Rome. Regarding this event, we have two films that are now virtually impossible to find. The first one is L'Arrivo di Buffalo Bill, which we talked about. It's not a spaghetti western, but a short documentary realized in 1906 that reconstructs the arrival of the American cowboy in the Italian capital city. The second, more interesting, is Buffalo Bill a Roma by Giuseppe Acatino, a director now forgotten, with Enzo Firmonti as Buffalo Bill. Both films show a particular episode of the Italian tour of the Wild West show, the challenge between the American cowboys and the Butteri of Agropontino. Little biography on Enzo Firmonti. He was born in Bari Puglia, Italy on July 17, 1908, passed away in Mentania, Lazio, Italy, which is where Rome's situated, on March 22nd, 1993. He was a boxer to begin with, then became a director, writer, and film actor. He was married to Tosca Manetti in 1907. Who was born in 1907. She's got to be deceased by now. Their marriage took place from 1929 to 1933. And he was the father of Giovanni Gian Firmonti, who was born in 1930. He then married Madeline Astor, born in 1893, died in 1940. They were married for 5 years from 1933 to 1938. He was the stepfather of John Jacob Astor, the sixth, born in 1912, died in 1992. From 1925 to 1934, Enzo was a professional boxer with a lifetime record of 47 wins, 11 by knockout. He lost 17 times, 10 of those by knockouts, and 2 draws. On June 22nd, 1943, he announced his permanent retirement. He wed Madeline Talmadge Force, the former wife of John Jacob Astor IV, who died aboard the RMS Titanic. Firmani married Madeline on November 27, 1933 in New York City, shortly after her divorce from her second husband, William Dick, on July 21, 1933. In 1935, they bought the former Dixie Plantation, a 600-acre in Charleston, South Carolina, overlooking the Stono River. The couple divorced in 1938. About this time, he returned to Italy to pursue his acting career, where he appeared in 18 Euro Westerns. His Euro Westerns consist of Buffalo Bill in Rome in 1949 as Buffalo Bill, Hallelujah for Django, 1966, where he was billed as Glenn Fortell and played Sheriff Martin Cooney. He was in The Ugly Ones as Glenn Foster in 1966 with Tomas Milian. Then he pops up in Beyond the Law with Lee Van Cleef as Sheriff John Ferguson. 67 also found him appearing with Alex Cord in A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die as Dr. Chase. Long Ride from Hell with Steve Reeves in 68 as Baldy Morris. Two Pistols and a Coward, 68 as the man at the trading post. Boot Hill, Terrence Hill, Bud Spencer, 1969 film as Sharp. The Forgotten Pistolero in 69 as the Padre with Leonard Mann. In the Name of the Father, 1969 as the Sheriff. The Unholy Four, 69 as the Dodge City Sheriff. Trinity is Still My Name, 1971 as Perla or Pearl's father. Vengeance Trail in 71 as George Bridger. Man of the East in 72 as Frank Austin or Olson. They call him Veritas in 72 as the Confederate captain. Those Dirty Dogs in 73, Dr. Adams. California, again another Terrence Hill film, 1977, as the father of the Union soldier, and his last film, A Man Called Blade, with Mauricio Merli as a government agent. The co-star was Diana D'Altina. I can find no information about her, and IMDb shows her only in this film. So she had a short career in Italy, and that was it. Okay, moving right along, we want to talk about Whatever Became of. And this week we're going to talk about James Philbrook, American actor. James Frederick Philbrook was born in Davenport, Iowa on October 22nd, 1924. He attended St. Ambrose University and the University of Iowa, eventually completing an electrical engineering degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1946. Philbrook was an aviation electronics specialist in the Navy for 4 years during the Korean War. As an actor, he made a successful career for himself in film. Philbrook began his career with roles in the Susan Hayward crime adaptation I Want to Live in 58, Warlock in 59, and later he acted in the Susan Hayward film Woman Obsessed, also in 1959. He was a regular on the Loretta Young Show from 62 to 63, and the dramatic adaptation of The Thin Red Line in 1964 with Keir Dullea. Relocating to Europe in the mid-1960s, Philbrook enjoyed some success as a poor man's Rod Cameron in spaghetti westerns, appearing in 6 of them. They were The Ballot of a Bounty Hunter, 65 as Sam Foster or Django, Finger on the Trigger, 1965 as Adam Hyde with Rory Calhoun, produced and directed by Sidney Pink, who lavishes praise on Philbrook in his book, So You Want to Make Movies, saying that he saved Finger on the Trigger by doubling the lead role when Victor Mature didn't show up. He was in Son of a Gunfighter, 1965 as James Ace Ketchum with Russ Tamblyn, Vengeance of Pancho Villa, 67 as Sheriff of Carrizo, I Do Not Forgive, I Kill 67 as Don Ramon or Raymond, and If You Shoot, You Live 1974 as Sam. He returned to the U.S. and appeared in The Last Day of the War in 69. Philbrook married the same woman, Frances Faith Castling, 3 times between 1947 and 1969. He had 4 children, one of which is performer Kristen Elaine, who is on Facebook. She talks quite a bit about her father from time to time. Philbrook died in Los Angeles, California on October 24th, 1982. He was only 58 years old. So that's whatever became of. Next, we want to talk about our featured actor, but before we get into that, I want to make note that during the spaghetti Western period, there seemed to be 2 stock companies, one from Italy, one from Spain, depending on where the film was made. They were counteracting on certain actors like Frank Branna from Spain. His counterpart in Italy would have been Benito Stefanelli. We have Antonio Molina Rojo in Spain, Raf Baldassar in Italy, Fernando Sancho in Spain, Pedro Sancho in Italy, Sanchez, Lorenzo Robledo in Spain, Luigi Pistilli in Italy, Jose Canalejas in Spain, Rick Boyd in Italy, Jose Manuel Martin in Spain, Piero Lulli in Italy, Aldo Sambrell in Spain, Furio Menaconi in Italy, Tito Garcia in Spain, and Franco Pesci in Italy, and last but not least, Chris Huerta in Spain, Nello Pazzafini in Italy. And I'm sure I've left some off the list, but those were the main actors that appeared in the spaghetti westerns and have probably 20, 25 films apiece during that time. Today we're going to talk about Jose Manuel Martin. It was requested on the Spaghetti Western database that I cover him. So here. Covered whatever became of. We're going to talk about who are those guys. Okay, Jose Manuel Martin Perez was born on May 24, 1924 in Casa Vieja, Villa, Castilla de León in Spain. He initially studied at the Teatro Español Universitario in Madrid before obtaining a scholarship at the Lope de Rueda. It was there that he started working in professional theater under Alejandro Ulloa, also made several spaghetti westerns. In 1942, he was also employed as a broadcaster for Radio Nacional de España. Perez eventually received a bachelor degree in journalism. At the age of 28, Martin made his feature film debut in the war drama La Lamada de Africa, 1952, written and directed by Cesar Fernandez Angevin. This was followed by minor roles in Los Grados de Ecuador, 1953, Acropuerto in 1953, I Was a Parish Priest in 53, and Judas Kiss in 54. He received his first supporting role as Munoz in Rafael Gil's Madrid Ache Quince Arias in 1954, appearing alongside Rafael Reveles and Francisco Rabal and Lila Rocco. He made 2 other films with Gil before he landed an important supporting role in The Spanish Affair in 1957, co-directed by Don Siegel and Luis Marquina. Sergio Corbucci's Angeles in Cielo, 1957, and Luis Buñuel's Viridiana in 1961. He also started working in television, joining the cast of Diego Volar in 58. Martin continued on in supporting roles in a number of other films, then being shot in Almeria and elsewhere. In the early 60s, Euro Westerns, which would evolve into the popular spaghetti Westerns, were being shot in Almeria. Martin was among a number of Spanish character actors to find fame in his new genre. His background playing villains made him ideal for being cast as a Mexican bandit or henchman. Martin's prolific appearances made him one of the most recognizable Spanish actors involved in the genre, rivaling those of fellow Spanish spaghetti western regulars such as Fernando Sancho and Aldo Sambrell, and he's considered one of the best villains of the era. His first roles were in Gunfighters of Casa Grande, 1964, one of the genre's earliest films, and continued working at the height with memorable performances in Bullets Don't Argue, Minnesota Clay, A Pistol for Ringo, $7 on the Red, Arizona Colt, A Bullet for the General, I Want Him Dead, 100 Rifles, A Bullet for Sandoval, and into the twilight of the genre in such films as Bastard Go and Kill, Ben and Charlie, Cutthroats 9, and his last Italo-Western appearance in El Este del Oeste. His character was named Bad Milk. In all, he appeared in 33 spaghetti/Euro westerns from 1958 to 1983. In between Spanish spaghetti westerns, Perez also had supporting roles in The Cemetery, 1963, Operation Atlantis in 65, and Bewitched Love in 67, The Castle of Fu Manchu in 69, and Eyes of Dr. Orloff in 1973. So he had a tremendously long and prolific career. An author of numerous poems, he occasionally tried his hand at screenwriting. His first script was for Rafael Romero Marchand's The Student Connection in 1974, co-written with Luciano Ercole, Jose Luis Navarro, and Marchand. Perez went into semi-retirement in the late 70s. He made several guest appearances on the popular action-adventure television series Curro Jimenez, starring Sancho Gracia in 1977. He also wrote 2 more scripts during the decade, Angel Martinez Astudio's short film El Pistio in 1996, and the comedy Maestros 2000, which he co-directed and with Oscar Del Caz. In the early 2000s, Perez made one-time guest appearances on television series Policios en el Corazón de la Calle and Los Serrano. He also had a cameo on Dunia Ayaso and Felix Sabroso's dramedy Deconsiligata in 2003. Now, I've only found this in one place, but it was stated that he died on April 12th in 2006. He would have been 82, so that makes sense. But if you look all over the internet, you won't find him any death date given, but that date makes sense to me. Now we'll move on to the film of the week, which is Adiosabata. Okay, Adiosabata, directed by Frank Kramer, real name Gianfranco Parolini, also wrote the story and screenplay. Cinematography was Sandro Mancori. There were 3 or 4 Mancori brothers who were cinematographers. Music is by Bruno Nicolai, and Nicolai worked with Ennio Morricone on the Dollar films and some of the early Morricone Western compositions. I always thought of him as the guy that added the bells, whistles, harpsichords, anything else that made sounds like that, because when he left and he and Morricone split up, Morricone didn't seem to go that way anymore. The stars of the movie were Yule Brenner as Indio Black or Sabata, Dean Reed as Ballantyne, Pedro Sanchez as Escudo, Gerard Herder as Colonel Skimmel, Sal Borghese as Septembre, Franco Fantasia as Senor Ocaño, Johnny Rizzo as Fulgen. Some other recognizable names in the cast are Rick Boyd, Susan Scott, my favorite. Actually, her name is Nieves Navarro. She shows up as a flamenco dancer. Giovanni Cianfriglia, who we know as Ken Wood, is an Austrian agent. The story goes that Indio Black or Sabata, Yule Brenner, is hired by Mexican revolutionaries to steal a fortune in gold from Colonel Skimmel, played by Gerard Herder, and the Austrians working for Emperor Maximilian. He's joined by an old acquaintance named Ballantyne, played by Dean Reed, and a couple of revolutionaries, Scudo, played by Pedro Sanchez, and Septembre, played by Sal Borghese, who are sent along to keep an eye on him. Although this was not made as a sequel to Sabata, and that the main character is called Indio Black, it became known as the Sabata film when it was dubbed into English. Many of the same actors and crew worked on this film, and Sabata and Return of Sabata was made into a trilogy. Frank Kramer was an action director, so we know we're going to get plenty of gunplay, chases, fisticuffs, and gadgetry. The film doesn't disappoint. Brenner is almost majestic in his portrayal of Indio Black / Sabata. He's also under control and faces every obstacle with certainty. His only problem is the Dean Reed character, who plays along with Indio Sabata until the gold is captured, and then he's determined to steal it for himself. Indio / Sabata never seems to trust him completely, but uses him to his advantage. Septembre, Sal Borghese, is the gadgetry part of the picture, as he can skillfully deploy steel balls from his boots like a slingshot. Escudo, played by Pedro Sanchez, is along for support and comic relief. The villain, Colonel Skimmel, played by Herder, is wonderfully played, and he's perfectly typecast in the roles such as releasing peons who run for their lives as the crack-shooting colonel shoots them down. An excellent supporting cast of spaghetti regulars and an excellent memorable score by Bruno Nicolai add to the enjoyment. The ending is perfect, with the double-dealing Ballantyne getting his comeuppance. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about the main actors, a little bit about their biography. First one is Yule Brenner, who was born Yuli Borisovich Brenner on July 11, 1920, in Vladivostok, Far Eastern Republic, today known as Russia. He died in New York City on October 10, 1985, of lung cancer. He was a model, musician, singer, producer, director, stage film, actor, photographer, probably best remembered for his role in The King and I and as Chris in The Magnificent Seven. Many of his older guys remember his anti-smoking commercials when he knew he was in stage 4 of lung cancer, and his books featuring his photography. The next actor we want to talk about is Dean Reed. Born Dean Cyril Reed, was born on September 22nd, 1938, in Lakewood, Colorado. He died on June 13th, 1986, in East Berlin, East Germany, of suicide. He was a director, composer, writer, songwriter, singer, film, TV actor. He was married 3 times, once to German actress Renate Blum. He had 3 children, one was adopted. Is most well known as a folk singer and socialist supporter and reformer. He was nicknamed the Red Elvis. Jay and I did an entire episode on him. It's number 46. Gerard Herder, was born Gerhard Herder on April 12, 1920, in Stuttgart, Germany, and died on February 2nd, 2007, in Munich, Bavaria, Germany. He was a film, TV actor who specialized as a villain in 8 spaghetti westerns. He hasn't got that many acting credits, probably less than 20. So his career was basically in the spaghetti western genre. Next is Pedro Sanchez. Real name is Ignacio Spalla. He was born on May 5th, 1925, in Termini, in Merse, Tuscany, Italy. And he died on September 2nd, 2005, in Constasiero, Perugia, Italy. He was a film actor, played Mexicans' usually sympathetic roles or comic relief. He was the Italian version of Fernando Sancho and is remembered for his appearance in the Sabata trilogy. The last actor we want to cover is Sal Borghese, who was born Giuseppe Salvatore Borghese on March 5th, 1937, in Rome. He's still with us. He was a special effects stunt coordinator, stuntman, film, TV actor, and is the father of stunt coordinator, stuntman, actor Alessandro Borghese. Always a secondary character actor who appeared in 23 spaghetti westerns in small roles. Always recognizable by his curly hair and big eyes. He played Mexican and gringos, usually as henchmen. And that covers the main topics this week. So we want to move into the CD of the week. Okay, CD of the week, Italian title is El Segno del Coyote. He's much like a Zorro figure, and that's who they made him look like in dress and action. He wears a bandana around his eyes to disguise himself. The composer is Francesco Damasi, and Damasi can do no wrong in my book. So the director of the movie was Mario Cayano. Starred Fernando Casanova, a Mexican actor, Maria Luz Galicia, Jesus Dordecia, and Piero Lully, who's always excellent. The CD's on the Beat Records label. It's number CDCR 14, has 26 tracks in mono, 16-page booklet, and released in 2020. So it's still available out there. At this point now, we want to move into the Book of the Week. Okay, the Book of the Week is The Good, the Bad, and Me by Eli Wallach. It's a hardcover book, released in 2005. Let me see who it's an autobiography, so Eli wrote it himself. And it's on Harcourt. It's probably still available on Amazon or Abe Books, and you can get it. Well recommended. He talks quite a bit about his experiences with Sergio Leone and Clint Eastwood. One quick story: when they got to Rome, they found a motel room or hotel room, but it only had one bed. So Eli and Clint had to sleep together. So he always used to joke about he was the first man who ever slept with Clint Eastwood. Now we want to move on to Autograph of the Week. This one is by Gordon Mitchell. It's addressed to Westerns All Italiano, Grande Amigo, and this was signed late in his career, where he's trying to make a comeback by making a biographical films of all his Westerns and Giallo films and putting them together, much like they call me Story of Django with Hunt Powers. He wanted to do something like that, but it never succeeded. Okay, lastly, we want to get into posters of the week. I've only got two. These will be from James Philbrook films. This one is Ballot of a Bounty Hunter. I'll pull it back here a little bit more. $2,000 for Coyote is another name for it. And the other one I have is a Belgium for Son of a Gunfighter with Russ Tamblyn. And typical of American poster is very much the same. And we'll wrap things up this week with the weekly news. Okay, only three things to talk about this week. Occasionally I get requests about getting a people getting their hands on back issues of Westerns all'Italiana. It's cost prohibitive now to make these things and make copies. And even if I did, the postage will kill you. So our good friend Sebastian Hasselbeck has loaded a bunch of new episodes onto the Spaghetti Western database this past week. So if you're interested in reading complete issues of Spaghetti Western, Westerns all'Italiana, go to his database, and under Westerns all'Italiana in the search bar, it'll take you to this location. And you can read them online. If you want to print them from there for your own good, that's fine. But I want to thank Sebastian for taking the time and trouble to do that. Next, we want to get into our passing. Rest in peace, Luis Marin. Luis Marin was a Spanish production manager, actor, and voice actor. He died in Madrid on February 14th, 2022. He was born in Madrid on January 16th, 1932, as Jose Luis Marin Gutierrez. He began his career as an actor and voice dubber. In the mid-1960s, he became a production and unit manager before dedicating his career as a voice actor. He's best remembered as the Spanish voice of Barney Rubble from the Flintstones and as Barney and Billy in The Simpsons. Marin appeared as a character and supporting actor in 10 spaghetti westerns, including A Pistol for Ringo. We found out that he wasn't in A Pistol for Ringo and The Return of Ringo. I don't know where that came from. But he was in Django Does Not Forgive and The Great Treasure Hunt. The next one we want to get into is the passing of a voice actor named Tony Fauci from the world of Italian dubbing. He died on Valentine's Day, February 14th. The news arrived of his death on that day. He was one of the voice actors who made recent history. Born on April 25th, 1955 in Cremona, Italy. He died in Padua, like I said, on February 14th, 2022, after a long career of success and satisfaction. Fauci had been he was active from 1980s until 2014 when he retired. Over the years, he worked not only in the world of animation, but also in the world of video games and theater. The upcoming animation season of Yamada's Theaters will be a tribute to his name. Fauci was the voice of Sergeant Garcia in the 1995 TV animated series Zorro. And that wraps it up for this week. Just want to make mention that Jay wants everyone to know that the Spaghetti Autograph Gallery will be online soon. And also, we're working on a special guest from Italy over the next few weeks. Keep your fingers crossed. It's not Johnny Garco. We're still trying to nail him down to a date, but it is another Italian actor, which you'll be surprised if we do nail them down. We do have lined up an interpreter for them, so keep your fingers crossed. In the meantime, adios, amigos, and we'll see you next week.